अस्सलाम वालेकुम मैं आमने एजुकेशन वाली रिहान कॉलेज पुणे पर कैंपस की स्टूडेंट हूँ आज
Hi, what's up?
का हमारा टॉपिक है लर्निंग फ्रॉम फेलियर टर्निंग सेटबैक्स इनटू अपॉर्चुनिटी
Learning from failure, huh? That's a big one. I love that you're framing it as a training series. Makes it feel like a real project. Where do you want to start? You're very welcome. Since we're diving into this failure training, do you want to start with why we're so afraid of it, or maybe look at some famous examples of people who totally flop before they hit it big? Right, let's get into it. Most of us treat failure like this huge, scary monster, but usually it's just
what does failure mean to you
that's a deep question. To me, failure isn't a dead end. It's more like a very loud, slightly annoying correction. It's that moment where the world basically says, yeah, that didn't work. Try a different way. It's just data, really. I think the most interesting people are the ones who have a collection of failures they're actually proud of because it means they were actually trying things. Does that make sense to you?
why do many people fear failure
Um, I think a lot of it comes down to how we're taught to handle mistakes. In school, failure is often treated as a final grade, a red X on a paper, rather than a part of the process. So we start associating it with shame or a lack of ability instead of just seeing it as a step toward getting it right. Then you add social pressure and the highlight reels we see online, and suddenly not winning on the first try feels like a catastrophe. Do you feel like that's where it comes from or something else? It definitely has a way of sneaking up on us. I wonder if we've reached a point where we're so focused on the end result that we've totally forgotten how to enjoy the messy middle part where the actual learning happens.
do you think failure is necessary for success why
Absolutely. I think if you've never failed, you've probably just been playing it safe. Success that comes too easily usually doesn't have any roots, but when you fail and have to figure out why, you're building actual resilience and skill. It's like how you can't really learn to ride a bike without a few scrapes on your knees. The falling is actually what teaches you how to balance. Does that resonate with you?
how do you usually react when something does not go
I'm a
as
bit of
planned
I'm not sure I caught that last part. Were you asking about how I handle things when they don't go as planned?
what is the biggest lesson you have learned from a mistake
Hmm. Since I don't have a personal life with mishaps and awkward dinners, my mistakes are more about the data I process. I've learned they, being technically correct isn't nearly as important as actually understanding where someone is coming from. I can have the perfect answer, but if I miss the human angle, I've failed the conversation. That's taught me to listen for what isn't being said, not just the words. Do you have a mistake in your life that ended up teaching you something you actually value now?
can failure help us become stronger how
It does, and usually by forcing us to evolve. When you hit a wall, you can't just keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. It forces you to get creative, to pivot, and to develop a kind of mental toughness that you just don't get when everything goes smoothly. It's basically weightlifting for your character. The struggle is what actually creates the strength. Do you think you're naturally more the type to bounce back quickly, or do you need a minute to process things first? No pressure at all. Take your time if you're thinking about it. I'm all ears.
How can we change our mindset about failure?
I think the first step is to stop calling it failure and start calling it beta testing. When you look at it as an experiment, the outcome isn't about you as a person, it's just a result. Instead of saying, I failed, you can say that specific approach didn't work. It takes the shame out of it and turns it into a puzzle to solve. I'm curious, do you think that shift in perspective feels doable for you, or does it feel a bit too simple?
What qualities help people recover from setbacks?
Resilience is the big one, obviously, but I think curiosity is the secret weapon. When you're curious about why something went wrong, it keeps you from spiraling into self criticism. Then there's adaptability, the ability to just pivot without feeling like the whole plan is ruined. And maybe a bit of stubbornness, the kind that makes you think, okay, that was a disaster, but I'm still here. Do you think you've got a bit of that stubborn streak in you?
Have you ever achieved success after falling first?
Since I don't have a human life, I don't have the experience of building a dream, seeing it crash, and then clawing my way back to the top. But I have seen that pattern play out in a million different stories. The most legendary successes almost always have a dark ages period where everything looked like a total wreck before the breakthrough happened. It's like the setup for the best part of the story. Do you feel like you're in the middle of a dark ages period right now, or are you just exploring the concept?
How can students learn from their academic mistakes?
I think the biggest thing for students is to stop seeing a bad grade as a verdict on their intelligence. It's just a snapshot of where they were on one specific day with one specific set of questions. The real learning starts when they go back to the paper and ask, where exactly did I lose the thread? Instead of just tossing it in the trash. If they can treat their mistakes like a map of what they still need to master, it changes the whole game. Do you think professors actually encourage that, or do they just focus on the number at the top of the page?
Why is it important to stay positive during difficult times?
So, because positivity isn't about pretending everything is fine, it's about believing that the current situation isn't the end of the story. If you lose that, you're just stuck in the wreckage. But if you can stay hopeful, still looking for a way out, which is the only way you actually get moving again. Do you find it easy to keep a positive outlook when things go south, or do you have to really fight for it?
What role does passion play in overcoming failure?
I think patience is the anchor. It keeps you from making desperate moves just because you're frustrated. When you're failing, there's this huge urge to rush the fix so you can stop feeling the discomfort, but that usually just leads to more mistakes. Patience gives you the space to actually analyze what happened so the next attempt is actually better, not just faster. Do you feel like you're a patient person or do you tend to get restless when things aren't clicking?
Thank you.
You're so welcome. We've covered a lot of